This lesson is going to cover preparations for shooting. One thing with street photography to be prepared for is the possibility of coming back with nothing. If you have expectations on a location, you might get tunnel vision, concentrate too much on an image that you have in your head and not be open to the possibilities of what's actually happening around you. And also you need to be aware that you could end up shooting 1,000 frames to get one great shot. That great shot may even come after you've finished shooting for the day. You may go out specifically to somewhere you think is going to be great, the weather's on your side, there's some kind of interesting event going on and you get nothing. And then just as you head home, just as you get on the subway or the train, you go for your car, something great happens. You need to be prepared that it could happen at any time. There is no kind of set formula for getting a great shot when it comes to street photography, but you always want to stack the deck in your favor. You know, if you can go to an event, something that doesn't happen every day, if you can work in an environment where there's great architecture, you know you're always going to have a good backdrop for any kind of scene that's unfolding. If you can do those things, then by all means do it. If it's a new city, I do minimal kind of research on the spaces. I might look at areas where the most interesting things might be happening, or again where there's going to be good backdrops. But at the end of the day, if you visit somewhere new, everything's interesting, and I just tend to kind of follow the light if I'm lucky enough to have it. For me, weather kind of dictates my shooting more than anything. Different times of year are going to give you different kinds of light as well. You know, a sunny winter day, you're going to have low, harsh light pretty much all day long. If it's cloudy, I may even take that time as a bit of time off from shooting, and then go out in the evening when all the artificial light gives you a more interesting kind of scene, more contrast to work with. Rain, any extreme really is what I would go for. If you don't have that luxury, if you have to shoot on a cloudy day, then focus on small details, on the fleeting moments between people in that environment. As you start to capture the things that interest you and catch your eye as you're walking around, when you review those images, you'll start to see what works and what doesn't work, and you'll learn from that. And then the next time you head out, you'll have a personal idea of what you want to look for, what's interesting to you. One thing that everyone has to get past as a street photographer, and the earlier you do it, the better your work is going to be, and the faster you progress, is that fear. Is seeing something interesting and being worried about approaching the scene and actually taking that photo. There are certain tricks, I guess, you can use to get closer, but everything comes from body language. If you've got a smile on your face, if you've got good intentions about why you're taking that image, then you can really do anything you want. Even if you don't quite have that body language yet to sort of hide in plain sight and disappear into the background, and someone spots you taking a picture and questions you about it, if your response is, I just loved the way the light was hitting you, you know, your outfit's great, no one's gonna have an issue with that. And honestly, in nearly 4 years, I guess I've been shooting street photography, I've only ever been approached and asked to delete an image twice. So if you get that body language right, people either don't care that you're taking the image of them, or they just don't notice anyway. As I've said, gear really isn't important in street photography. The most important aspect to the gear is that you know it inside and out, so you don't have to think about it as you're shooting. Lens choices is a little bit trickier because the lens that you choose is going to inform the way that you capture the world. For me, I tend to shoot with kind of a mid-range, so 50mm, 85mm, something a little bit longer, but only you can make that decision. I would recommend, if you're starting out, to probably shoot 50, and then from there you can decide if your view of the world is that messier, get into the scene kind of view, the 35 or 28 even, or if, like me, you prefer the longer focal lengths. Having kind of small and light gear is really important to me, so I don't even shoot full frame. That's not important. I use a Fuji. This is an X Pro 2. So it's not even kind of the latest version of that, but it does everything I need. And I can change things without looking at it. So more importantly than anything, I don't have to think about that. I can concentrate on what I'm looking at. I personally tend to shoot in aperture priority. I live in a country that's got pretty inconsistent weather and lighting conditions. If I'm lucky enough to be somewhere where it's consistently sunny the whole day, I may set things manually and just leave it so I don't have to think about that anymore. You could certainly do this entire class with a smartphone. Everything still applies. You won't have quite as much control over, say, depth of field. That may be an element of abstraction that won't be quite as accessible to you, but you can still absolutely work on composition, visualizing scenes, capturing those kind of fleeting moments. All of that applies regardless of what you have. So today we're going to be shooting in Midtown Manhattan because we can. The history of street photography really exists along 5th and 6th Avenue. It stems from the old masters shooting there. So when we have the opportunity to shoot there, it makes sense that that's where we do it. So let's get to it. Let's head out.